So, this was a video I was really hoping I didn't have to make. I was really, really trying to be optimistic about these Billy changes, and I played the PTB, I tried it out, I kept an open mind, but I was severely disappointed. Now, I want to make two things very clear. If you are here because you're curious if Billy is still going to be meta, is still going to be a very strong killer, he is. He'll be strong. I don't know if he's going to be like the best killer in the game, as some people refer to him as, but he'll still be very strong. He's still like S tier, if not S high A tier, but I think he's still S tier. Or it's a very well held opinion that he's still S tier. I'll say that. But I'm very worried how these changes are going to affect Billy's gameplay. And by the way, I just want to say all the gameplay that you're going to be watching is live servers. This is not PTB Billy. But I still want to talk about PTB Billy. But I hope that's not an issue. So, I am going to start just based off of what the PTB patch notes said. So, here we go. We're going to talk about dissipation. So dissipation, the change specifically was that when after 8 seconds of not using your chainsaw or gaining overdrive, the overdrive bar dissipates and it lowers. And now it takes 8 seconds to do that from a rather fair 15 seconds. Now on paper, I was like, okay, this isn't a bad change. I could see this. The dissipation add-ons weren't really good. They didn't really make sense to use because you had a lot of time until dissipation. Playing it, I really think they should go back on this change, and I will explain why. When I played, I didn't run dissipation add-ons just because I wanted to see how the base kit felt. For anyone who has watched my content for any amount of time realistically knows that I play base kit. That's my way of playing the game, and that's how I prefer playing it. But less on that and more on the dissipation changes. The dissipation change on paper, like I said, seems like a good idea. And unfortunately, in practice, it's not good, and it's not good just because it's not good on itself. But more so, it's an amalgamation of all the changes they made. So, for example, dissipation takes 8 seconds, which sounds fair, but you have to count about a second for for ending your chainsaw hit. Like, you hit the survivor, you have to wait a second, right, before you can pick them up. Okay. Then you pick up the survivor, that takes, let's estimate, 3 seconds. 4 seconds already of you not moving anywhere. And you have 4 seconds now to go to a hook to stop any possibility of dissipation. But unfortunately, that never is going to happen. Even if you the perfect situation is you hook a survivor, you down a survivor actually in front of a hook, and you use that hook, and that's hoping you're not using something like scourge hooks, so where now you just have to go to a scourge hook to then get value out of your perk. You see where this is a problem? Your dissipation ends immediately. You can argue, oh, but you'll get the hook, and you can stop dissipation. But by the time you stop, you're like half your progress on overdrive is gone, all because you wanted to hook. And the reason this is a problem is because now it's like, what's the point of hooking? Just slug. And the part that sucks is that people are already slugging with Billy. It is like it was an effective way to play him. It wasn't a necessity, especially if you want to get value out of overdrive. You could just, you could hook and you'll be fine. But now it's like you have to slug because realistically you can't keep your overdrive progress because it takes too long to hook. then you'll get dissipation, and it's like, oh well, I guess I just don't get overdrive. And it's a problem because now everyone's just gonna slug to get overdrive. Let's say, for example, you get a really early first chase, you get a down, and you get half of your overdrive. So now you have the choice of hooking someone and losing all your overdrive progress, or you slug that survivor and now you go around and you build your overdrive progress. And you do this because you know dissipation will cause you to lose your overdrive. You see what, like, you're just encouraging slugging, and then you have overdrive activates, wonderful. Well, now you have to use your overdrive. You worked so hard for your overdrive. Let's say you find a second person with your overdrive. Okay, you down them. You don't want to hook, you want to use your overdrive. You spent so long getting it, and you spent so long not hooking anyone else, you might as well just use the entirety of your overdrive. Now you get another person down or something of that nature, but somebody's getting slugged for at least 30 seconds, 30, 40 seconds or something, or maybe even get a 4-man slug. Is that fun? Is that fun for the survivors? Is that the gameplay they want? Do they want to be slugged because the Billy wants to use overdrive? It's absurd. It's absurd. You can't act like that's not going to happen unless you don't want ability to use overdrive, which then the chase becomes significantly easier for survivor, especially if it's a base kit speed Billy. Well, it's just going to be an easy chase, which, I mean, if you're that kind of a survivor, I guess have fun. Good job. You got an easy chase in. But for most people, that's miserable because now the chase is so much easier. Or you just get slugged. There's no middle ground to this, unless you want to use dissipation add-ons, but I'll get to that problem later into the video. As for right now, it's just, you slug, or you don't slug. You slug and you get overdrive, or you don't slug and you don't get overdrive. There's no reward for people that want to hook. None at all. And it sucks, because it's just like, what are you gonna do? You just slug at that point if you want to get overdrive, and that's how you want to efficiently use this power. If you want to be efficient, yeah, you just slug now, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. People are already mad about slugging, but now, like, the average person's gonna do it. And I've had discussions with people like, only really good people can make slugging work. It doesn't matter now. You can be bad, you're still gonna want to slug so you could use overdrive. There's no reason not to slug just to use it. I spent quite a lot of time on dissipation, but I think it's a very big deal compared to what people might be thinking. Next, I want to talk about speed. So the overdrive speed change is not horrible, but I'm really worried of what will happen in terms of Billy gameplay. Because it's not horrifically slow, but it's just not worth using. Like I said, dissipation and the fact that the charges take longer to get, and now you're slower, it's just not worth going for overdrive base kit. It's really not. Because the speed is so slow to where the effort you put into getting your overdrive, which is at least now like a good 30, 40 seconds of, just going around the map, it's just not worth it for the reward you get. I'm gonna be honest. And the sad part is, so the big problem about overdrive was that it was really easy to get, right? You could like scum overdrive, you can get it really easily. And I do agree that was a problem. But now if you get overdrive, you're also forcing it. You can't get overdrive naturally in a chase anymore, which it sucks, because now it's like you have to spend some X amount of time just running around the map. You're not even chasing anybody. You just run around the map. Maybe you find somebody, and now it's like, oh, do I take this chase or do I keep just building overdrive? You're just forcing yourself at that point to build overdrive, and it sucks, because now it's just like you rather don't build overdrive, or you build it after an absurd amount of time, and then, oh, it actually wasn't worth it. Because a lot of these palettes and a lot of these tiles are, at least for public games, I should specify, it's you might as well just play base kit. This car here, yeah, you don't want to play base kit, but like, this is like one of those rare cases that maybe like having overdrive, like PTB version, would be helpful. But then again, let's say you're at like half overdrive bar. At that point, you just want to play M1, and then dissipation's gonna kick in, and you lose all your overdrive progress. You just don't get overdrive. It's it's depressing. It's really sad, actually. And that speed, the speed nerf just makes it like, why would you even want to play for overdrive anymore? You just play for the chainsaw, and it sucks. And the other part about it, I'm going to talk about one of the add-ons right now, is that why would you struggle so hard to get overdrive? You usually do like 40 seconds, maybe 20 seconds, but that realistically, no. You spend this time when you could just use engraving. You use engraving, and your base kit engraving speed is faster than overdrive base kit. So you could just use engraving, and all of a sudden you're faster than if you had an overdrive. You see how that's a problem? What is the point of overdrive when we could use speed? It shows the design philosophy of Overheat Billy heavily here, because I'm not going to say engraving feels like a necessary add-on, but it's more of a why wouldn't you use engraving in this situation. You'd be an idiot not to. It's stronger to just use engraving than to try to play overdrive. And not to mention, you get overdrive with an engraving. So there's no reason not to play engraving at this point. There's none. There's literally none. You can literally go a whole game without the overdrive, but because you had engraving, it never mattered. Because you were faster than if you had base kit overdrive anyway. And that's a problem, because now, realistically, if you're playing to win, why aren't you using engraving? You should. It brings back the Overheat Billy philosophy, where it's like, if you're not using engraving, what are you doing? You know, and that sucks. What I liked about this live, like pre-PTB version of Billy, is you didn't need engraving, or it didn't feel stupid to not use engraving. But now it's once again a thing where it's like, you're an idiot if you're not using it. And I'm not just saying that as an exaggeration. I played so many games where it's like, why would I just not use Doom here? It makes no sense. And it sucks, because they struck gold with this version of Billy that didn't need Doom, that didn't really need add-ons entirely. And it was nice. It was nice to feel that you weren't an idiot for playing base kit, but we've reached the point where we're back there. You're an idiot for playing it now, and it sucks. But I mean, that's just, it's sad to see. It's really sad to see that we're kind of back in an era where you have to use engraving, or there's no reason not to use it. And it just sucks. It really does suck. And if they really wanted to nerf the speed of, overdrive, I think they did it by too much. I would say make it a little faster than if you had Doom, or just make it Doom speed. Realistically, make it faster than Doom. Because if it's just as fast as Doom, oh hey, guess what? I'm just gonna use Doom engraving. It's a lose-lose unless it's faster than Doom engraving, It sucks. So now I actually want to talk about some positives here, because I will say there are definitely not a lot. There are a few positives, and I think they've really hit it out of the park with some changes here. So first I want to talk about the overdrive gain change. This is great. The fact that you don't get overdrive within your first chase anymore is completely fair. It was very easy to get overdrive, and it was very easy to scum overdrive. Like, you just stay at a tile for maybe 10 seconds or something, just rev your saw, and wow, you got overdrive. So the fact that it actually takes longer to get overdrive, and it's a very noticeable change, is very nice. However, it's a problem when the speed of overdrive is bad, and then dissipation also makes it to where you just delete your entire overdrive if you decide to hook. But by itself, I think the overdrive gain is good. It's a good change. Now I want to talk about the cooldown change. This change, personally, I think it's stupid. Not because I think it's an unfair change. It is a fair change. I think it plays well, but it's very negligible. It's a very negligible change. Nothing really happens because you lost zero point 0.2 seconds because of a cooldown. It's it's a nothing change. It's like, why was time put into this? It's like, I guess maybe in those very like niche situations it matters, but it doesn't matter most of the time, I'm not gonna lie. But I don't hate it. It's fine. It can stay. Add-on changes. So I'm not going to go into specifics of the add-on changes. There was like low pro boots and some rarity changes and things like that. Those changes are fine. I think the changes they made to add-ons are fine. If they didn't change overdrive and the base get overdrive. It's really unfortunate because I think these changes on current live Billy, like these add-on changes, would be perfect. I think they would be great. But the fact that they're not on current version Billy makes it a problem. Because now boots are nerfed. That's really the only one that matters. Boots got nerfed. It's like, why would we use boots? I mean, if you want like a genuinely strong effect with boots, you have to do double boots now. But now you can't use engraving, and we already discussed you have to use engraving now. So it's rather you use double boots and you don't get the speed, or you use engraving and you use boots, but now you don't have the full turning speed. So then it's like, what's the point of using boots now? Just because now you're slow, you know? And then it's like, okay, then what do you use instead? Use low pro. Low pro got nerfed, but it's still strong. It's still the best zoning tool in the game for Billy. There's no reason not to use it. It's still a very strong add-on. It's much fairer now, yes, but it's still absurdly strong. There's no point not to use overdrive, or low pro. So now we've regressed. You know, back to overheat Billy, where his best add-ons were Doom engraving and low pro, and now once again his best add-ons are Doom engraving and low pro, and it's not even arguable. At least with live current patch version of Billy, you don't need engraving. Engraving is not, it's an afterthought. It's like, if you like the speed, yeah, you can use it, but you didn't need it. Now it's like you're an idiot for not using it. And low pro obviously was his strongest add-on, but it didn't feel necessary. It didn't like there was a reason to use something like boots. Boots was a fair choice. You could go low pro boots if you wanted to, but you had the option to use something that wasn't an engraving, or use low pro. You didn't have to. Personally, I like T-Mix. I thought T-Mix was a really good add-on, but if I want to win, I'm not going to use T-Mix anymore. I'm just going to use Doom low pro. There's no point in using any other add-on that isn't Doom low pro, and it's depressing. It's depressing because it's like, for 9 months we were allowed to actually experiment with our add-ons and use a variety of add-ons and not feel like an idiot doing so. Now we're just gonna have to use Doom Pro or use other add-ons and feel like an idiot. Think of it this way: a lot of people get clowned for using certain add-ons. For example, people thought I was insane for using Base Kit Billy on Overheat, but that's how I enjoyed it and I got used to playing like that. But realistically, yeah, I was dumb for it. It was stupid, but I liked it. I purposely put myself in a disadvantage because I wanted to play that way. But it's not like it's a slight disadvantage. No, it was a severe disadvantage. And realistically, if you're not using Doom Pro with this PTB version of Billy, you're at a very significant disadvantage. The version of Billy we have in live, it doesn't feel like a severe disadvantage to not use Doom Pro. It just feels like a slight inconvenience, which is realistically how add-ons should be. It shouldn't feel like a necessity to use them, but unfortunately that's how I'm feeling with Billy right now, with PTB Billy specifically. It feels like a necessity to have to use Doom and low pro, because it's like, why would you use anything else? And I was talking to one of my friends, and he was saying how it doesn't matter, in the sense that his other add-ons are good, like boots are still good, clogged intake is good, motor oil is good, all these add-ons aren't better than Doom and Low Pro. Take a look at Overheat Billy. It was notorious. Everyone believed that every add-on that Overheat Billy had that was in Punctured Muffler, or even Muffler to be honest, every add-on that was in Doom Engraving, Death Engraving, or Low Pro was garbage. It's because they were just so much better than every add-on. And the same thing's happening here. Doom and Low Pro are just so much better. There's no points in running anything else, you know? It sucks, but realistically, there's no reason, unless you want to try something different. Like in this game, I'm using Stealth Billy, but that's because I can. I don't feel punished for not running Doom. Whereas you do playing PTB Billy. And it sucks because it really did seem like they understood that Billy became such an add-on reliant killer when he was in Overheat, and they wanted to change that. But the way he feels now, it's just like, why would you use any other add-on? There's no reason to. It sucks. It really does suck. So what I would do, there's only 2 changes I would revert, and I think this would be fair changes. I would be fine with it. I would revert the speed change, and I would revert dissipation. Because one, dissipation, the way the dissipation works now is simply unhealthy. You're gonna just encourage slugging more than you already did, and that's bad because, hey, slugging is not fun. People complain. I remember in the patch notes they were talking about like 43% of survivors get slugged or whatever, and that's not a significant statistic to them. Well, now it's going to go even higher, because why would you not slug with Billy just because of dissipation? So change dissipation, keep it at 15. Just dissipation add-ons, change them. Just change them. They're not worth it. Just change them, make them better, make them something else. And then I would change speed, because right now it's just it's just 2022 Billy, man. You just use engraving. That's it. You just use engraving, and you're automatically better than anything base kit Billy would have been. Not is, but would have been, because overdrive speed's just not worth it. You get it, so it takes so long to get, and you lose it so easily. Both progress of overdrive and overdrive itself, because they didn't decide to buff the length of overdrive. So yeah, I don't know. I'm really worried about this version of Billy. Now, obviously, I like Billy. I will play Billy regardless. The fact as long as curving is still a thing, I'll play Billy. But I have to take out my own personal bias. Like, he's not going to be fun for a majority of people. Every game is going to be Doom Pro. Doom Pro is miserable to play against. There's a very select few survivors I know that really like it. Deadly Naya, God bless her soul, she loves it, but like, she's one survivor player. I know just pretty much every survivor player just hates it. And it's just worrying. It's just worrying with these changes, because now, the way I see it, Billy's just going to be a slug heavy killer. He's going to be a Doom Pro killer. You're just going to use those 2 add-ons. It's worrying. It's really worrying. And once again, I want to reiterate, I'm not mad Billy got nerfed. I'd be fine if he got nerfed and it didn't make him a more unhealthy killer to play, excuse me. But the way it looks, it's just way more unhealthy to play in. And lastly, I just want to say, if they really wanted to go through some rework, just remove overdrive. I would say if they really wanted to do something, just make Doom base kit, remove overdrive, make it to where his add-ons are actually good, kind of like OG Billy, like really old Billy. Because this is just not it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it, and I really hope you've taken the time to understand my concerns. And goodbye.